everybody, I'm DJ Sixsmith. Welcome to CBS Local Studios. You're watching The Sit Down. We're hanging out with Rapsody today. Brand new album dropping next week.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good time for you going right now. You've been all over the place, North Carolina, New York, Philadelphia, LA. How's life been for you?
Life has been good, man. I went underground for a little bit to create, but now I'm popping my head up, new album. I get to go play it for people, you know, come here, talk to you about it. So it's a good time.
How long were you underground working on this?
Between touring, I did a bulk of it in December, I'll say that. But you know, I had to go through the sample clearance process and art direction, so maybe like 6 months. Yeah. Yeah,
there's a lot more that goes into it that I don't think people really understand when they listen to the finished product of like a 3-minute song.
Exactly. You put it up and they'll be like, when's it coming? I was like, guys, you gotta get photographs clear, like it's a whole process.
Give me some time here.
Give me some time. But now we're done, we're here, August 23rd, I'm excited.
So you've done a couple albums before. What was it like putting this one together? Because it feels like this was something really specific to say, especially with the song titles, the people on there. Like, it seemed like this was a blast to make this one.
It was. The last ones, you know, it would just be song by song. So, you know, you go and I want to write about this today, and it wasn't like the whole album has a concept. With this one, it's a whole conceptual album. So, you know, I knew I wanted to do something for Black women. I wanted to show that, you know, we're not monolith, you know, and celebrate all the different sides of us, and that we all can be that. Like, I could have a day where I feel poetic. I could feel a day where I feel motherly. I have a day where I might want to get rowdy, you know what I mean? So, you know, I wanted to celebrate all those different sides of what being a woman was, a Black woman. And I wanted to do that by naming each song after an influential woman that I felt like I came from in some way, that I was inspired by. So. Yeah. Well,
I'd love to run through the names with you, if you don't mind here, because you have some awesome names on there. Why don't we start with Ibtihaj Muhammad, because what she did was pretty outstanding at the Olympics, and also just being a totally different type of woman in that world. So why don't she speak to you?
Yeah, she spoke to me for what she did, to be the first Muslim American athlete to perform in a hijab in the Olympics. You know, that's a statement, and it just shows like how unwavering she is and fearless and confident. You know, I read her story about growing up and, you know, how she would get picked on and, you know, nasty things were said to her, but it never shook her spirit. So I just thought that was powerful. But we connected with it by flipping an old Wu-Tang Liquid Swords Jizza song. So it's like Liquid Swords, she's a fencer, you know, she has her own sword. So I wanted to creatively connect those songs in that way. Metaphorically, but also just me as an MC being confident and unwavering, standing my ground and not compromising my art or who I am, whether it was creatively through the music or my appearance or what I stood for. So that's kind of how they correlate.
I think that's really fascinating, because I don't know if you take Wu-Tang and an athlete like that on the surface and put them together. So how does your mind work like that when you're starting to create things like that?
Man, with that song in particular, I had some help with Ninth Wonder, who's a Grammy-nominated legendary producer from North Carolina who I'm signed to. But we kind of worked on that together. He actually picked the Liquid Sword sample. He was like, you know, I'm trying to think of names. I was like, man, what am I going to name it? He was like, Ibtihaj. I was like, that's perfect. That's easy. You know, so it just, every song might not be particularly about somebody, but it's a central idea and theme of it. And it's just like, it fit, like, you know. I just saw it in that way, and we did the video with Jay Scorsese and Lisa Hilton where we were able to visually show that. Because listening to the song, you're like, how does this tie into Ibtihaj? Like, I don't get it. But when you watch the visual and the video, you see it, you know.
And there's something powerful about the video, so because it's not like it was when you were watching it on MTV or VH1 or something like that, but seeing it and after listening to it, like, there is a little bit of a difference. So how do you play with the video versus the song itself?
Man, you know, you visually bring some things to life. Like, you know, one thing was, I said, you know, Misa, we have to have like Muslim women, but you know, she's so high in fashion. It's like, how can you dress them up to make them stylistic, you know, and really draw attention to their beauty? What we did with the colorful hijabs, you know, you have at the end some in purple, some in red and yellow, and it's just like, it's very eye-catching, but at the same time it makes a statement. And that was something we wanted to showcase, what's the revolution that's going on in Sudan, you know. Though that's not about fencing, it's still part of the Muslim community and what they experience, not only there, but all around the world in different ways. So we just try to find creative ways to talk about different, topics. We started the video with a little Muslim girl who's looking at a photo of fencing, and it's just like, wow, how does representation matter for little girls? And it's like, you see her, she wants to grow up to be a fencer now, but you can switch her out with anything or any person. It's just like representation matters. As an artist, be responsible with your platform. So those are creative ways that, we just wanted to take the visual and just take little pieces of the song that aren't right out in your face or aren't right out in the lyrics and put them out in a creative way.
So you really care about the words that you're using and the titles of songs, and when I think of that, I think of Maya Angelou also and what she did and the impact she had. So, and it feels like her essence is in that song as well. So what was the impact that she had on your life and your music?
Maya's impact was with words, just the power of words and what you can do with a few lines. You could take 2 lines from a stanza, you could have a whole college course on them. You could pack so much into a metaphor or a simile and teach a whole class on it. So it taught me the power of words and to be careful with how you use your words and to be creative with your words. And she just really taught me about a lot about poetry. The song on this particular album was influenced a lot by I Know Why a Caged Bird Sings. And, it's basically about understanding that we all have wings and we're not in cages, or you may feel like you're in a cage, but the door is open. All you have to do is walk through and fly out. So understanding that we all have a gift, we all have a talent, and no matter what we feel like our cage is, whether we feel like it's the skin we're in or, economically we may not be as economically powerful as somebody else, but that doesn't stop us, Those cages aren't real. Like you might have to work at catching the air a little more, but we all eventually catch flight. So, those are the ways I kind of mirrored Maya into a song, that could be inspirational for somebody.
It's really interesting you mentioned that, because you can gain status and you can start to make your way up economically, but you can still be caged. And I think about Serena Williams and the amazing career that she's had, but is still caged in a lot of different ways, being a black woman in a sport predominantly white in tennis, and she's somebody that you named one of your songs after. So how has she moved you in your life as a black woman and just as an artist in general? Yeah,
just in that, like being a black woman, being built with a big, beautiful body, her shape, and being in an arena that, we feel like sometimes we're not always welcome or represented. And to take that, and I'm sure under the pressure and scrutiny that she had to face at sometimes, she still persevered to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, arguably, to ever play the sport. And I think that's a testament even to the fact where you win an award and you crip walk on stage. Like you bring Compton to Wimbledon. Like who does that? And I love that, I'm on this stage, but I haven't forgot who I am, and I'm not ashamed of who I am and where I came from, and I'm going to represent, because I know there are little black girls in Compton who are looking at me, so I'm going to crip walk when I accept this award to show, like, be us and be proud of who you are and where you come from, and just know that it's a part of you and it makes you who you are and why you're special. So that's another reason why I chose, her as one of the women that I wanted to showcase on this album.
Have you met any of these women, by the way?
Let me see. I've met Queen Latifah.
Okay, and she's on the track. We'll get to that in a sec.
She's on the track with the. No, I haven't met anyone.
I mean, Michelle Obama's got to be up there.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think. I have met Michelle. Okay. I've been to the White House 5 times. Like, I'm tripping. Like, I was trying to go through the track list, and Michelle.
That was the next person I was going to ask you about.
Yeah. I was able to go to the White House 5 times to party for sometimes, the legendary Obama parties. I performed at a jazz festival once, but I got there by way of Kendrick Lamar's complexion. So, but I met Michelle. They listened to the music, and I did that song because I look at Michelle and I think, it's dope to have not only a first black president but a first lady, and she embodies what a black woman is. I look at her, I see my mom, I see my aunts, I see myself, I see my sisters, and I think that's powerful. So with the song that I chose, I wanted to, one, showcase her Chicago side. She's from the south side of Chicago, and it's like, well, what is that? What is a girl from the south side of Chicago, like, what does she look like? And Michelle, she loves to dance. We know that. She loves music, she loves to dance. So I was like, wow, I want to do something that's fun, that feels like a house party. Like if Michelle was in Chicago growing up, she'd go to a house party and dance with her homegirls, right? you know, and I played on, you know, at parties, it's ladies first, right, before the guys, so it's like metaphorically ladies first in a party, but, you know, you could be from the south side of Chicago, being in a party on a ladies' first night and still make yourself to the White House to be a first lady, you know, and that's what that meant. Like, again, like, don't forget who you are and understand that you don't have to change, you know, and representation matters.
Absolutely, and just be you throughout that entire time.
Exactly.
What do you remember about those times at the White House? I mean, there must have been some bangers there. It must have been a good time.
Those parties were some of the best parties I went to.
Yeah.
Off the hook, man. It would be, you know, they have a dope DJ, whether it was DJ D Nice or, you know, somebody else, and it's every celebrity, from actors to musicians to writers to Oprah to Tyler Perry, and everybody's just having a good time.
That's awesome.
Nobody gets to bring their security. Like, we just all dancing. Obama's in the middle of the floor dancing. Like, he has the two buttons unbuttoned, like really getting down, swag surfing. Like, it's just a joyful occasion, and, you know, it was a great time.
Well, that's Barry versus President Obama,
exactly.
Right there.
I got to see Barry that night. Barry from Chicago, Barry.
Oh,
so it's really
that's
dope.
Incredible. So let's go back to Queen Latifah, because I was telling you off camera, hadn't heard her spit like that in a really long time, and you guys got to collab on this together. There's no emails back and forth.
No.
It was pure. So how did this come about, and how amazing was that for you?
Man, there's an artist by the name of Merge from Los Angeles, and he was in the studio working on his album at the time, and we were having a conversation about tattoos. So he lifts up his shirt, and he has this ill tattoo of Queen Latifah. I'm like, yo, bro, that's the illest tattoo I've ever seen in my life. And he's like, have you and Queen ever worked together? I was like, no, but she's on my list. And he's like, well, I know somebody, so I'm going to just hit him and just see. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, sure, right.
All right. Try that, Merz. Hope it goes well. But thank you, my man. And her assistant, Shakim, connected Ninth with her, and she called him, just like that. And I was in Atlanta with T.I., and Ninth hit me with a text. He said, Queen Latifah's about to call you. I'm just like, what? I'm not ready. And so she calls me, and I say hello, and she's like, I'm looking for Rapsody. Has this Rapsody there? She has this ill Jamaican voice. So off gate, like, it's just dope.
Yeah.
Like, she's real down to earth. She's fun. She makes it comfortable, because I'm nervous. Like, she's one of my biggest inspirations. But, you know, she called me that night. The next week, she called me like 4 or 5 more times. And it's just like, it's dope to really have somebody that you look up to be able to come down and just be regular. Like, she's like a queen. You know, and we talked about the record. I sent her my version. She loved it. She's like, when you in LA, call me. I went to LA. I went to her house, and we worked on it together.
Wow.
Yeah, she told me stories about her and Pac and the
my
Flavor
gosh.
Unit. Like, you know, it was just a really dope time. She came to the studio, listened to the album. She actually named that song, because I had a different title for it. I had a different title for the album. She was like, no, you should change that.
So she was the one.
I took some advice. She didn't come up with Eve, but she was like, the title you have, it could be better than that. And, you know, it pushed me to think even further. So thank you for
you need
that.
people that are going to push you like that,
so
too, and challenge you, too.
Exactly. So she kept it funky. Like, you know, most artists be getting their feelings. I'm like, nah, tell me.
No, you got to push it. Yeah.
Right. This is really dope.
And I feel like Kendrick Lamar could have been that guy, too, in a sense for you, because he just looks like a really special guy and an incredible musical talent.
He is.
What's it been like working with him over the years, and just how would you describe him to somebody who's never met him?
Man, Kendrick, he's a genius. Like, you could tell, like, he's still the young kid from Compton that likes to joke. Like, he likes to laugh and have fun. But at the same time, you also get the genius side of him. Like, when he's in his zone, or, you know, just talking to him, you see, like, he really thinks about the music and is creative. So he's just really been a support. We haven't worked on but only one song together, and that was back in 2011.
Yeah,
everything else we emailed, you know, back and forth. But whenever I need advice, because I know he's seen and done so much in the music, he's the one that I hit first. And he always gives me the best advice, you know, straightforward, no chaser. He just gives me the best advice, and he's patient with me. And he's taught me a lot about patience, like, you know, you just got to figure out such and such and such, but I know you'll get it. And, you know, when I dropped Layla's Wisdom, I played it for him, and I left the studio, and he texted me, and I opened it up while I was in the car. He was like, it's your time.
Oh, wow.
You know, so he always gives me those nuggets of support and advice and some jokes along the way. Best believe he is funny.
He's cracking jokes like that 11-year-old kid in Compton.
Every time. Like, he's one of the funniest people I know.
That's awesome. So he reps Compton, and you rep North Carolina.
To the
and that's a big part of it. So how has North Carolina shaped you?
Man, in so many ways. Like, musically, it's been a melting pot. We listen to so much just because of where we're situated in the Middle East Coast. So
right. So what are you guys listening to growing up in North Carolina?
A lot of anything from New York. A lot of things from Atlanta, especially Outkast. You know, as well as West, we listen to everything. West Coast. So
you're touching it all, because you're kind of in the middle there.
Yeah, it's really a melting pot. I-95 runs right through it. So, you know, when the brothers was coming down, they was coming through. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, they would bring a lot of mixtapes, or you know, a lot of New Yorkers when they were kids, their parents would send them down south to their grandparents' house for the summer. They bring a lot of music, so that's how we got a lot of music. So we just influenced. You can see a lot by our styles. So and we're a car culture, so everything we listen to, you got to be able to listen to in the car. Like, that's what it is. Yeah. So you're gonna get. The beautiful thing is you're going to get the lyricism and you're going to get that boom bap feel, but you're going to get the West Coast and Southern feel of it. You have to ride in the car with it because we ain't got no subways. We don't walk. We're not in cabs. Like, you got to really get in the car. Like, you come to North Carolina and try to walk somewhere, you're going to be hurt.
No, definitely not a walking place.
Yeah, and it was a place for me to use my imagination because when I walk outside, I see, it's not buildings and lights. I see woods and a field. And at night, I'm laying on the concrete and I see stars. So it was a place for me to be creative and use my imagination a lot. So that's kind of how it shaped me.
I feel
and my humility, you know, Southern roots, man. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Like, you know, and that's helped me in the business.
I'm sure it has.
Completely, so yeah.
So what have been some of the most surprising things about the industry? Because you've been at this for a while now and you've built this thing out. So what has been eye-opening at times and interesting for you?
That is a business.
Yeah.
That talent is 10% and everything else is business, you know, marketing, branding, building relationships. People, it's all about numbers, it feels like. And with artists, everything is about the art and the feeling. So kind of navigating through that and finding the balance and, you know, how to make my lane in that without compromising myself, like, that's been the most eye-opening thing. But on the other end, like, it's been so rewarding because I've learned so much and I met so many people. And, you know, you see everything that goes behind, like, really pushing records out. So, yeah, it's just, you know, learning the art of the music business because it is a art.
Yeah, that's for sure. How about J. Cole? I mean, there's another North Carolina guy. You guys have worked together. What have you learned from him in the past?
Man, our relationship has really just built kind of like the last 2 years. Like, we've always known each other, supported, talked to each other in passing, but, like, to work together, to have conversations every now and again has been dope. But watching his career, you know, I've learned that you don't have to chase anything or force anything. And I think that's something that, you know, he's learning. I'm seeing the freedom and the happiness that looked like he's found now, like with Sideline's story. Like, a lot of artists, again, deal with, like, the fame part of it and feeling like, you know, I gotta have that record, I gotta have that radio record. When looking at his career, all you got to do is make dope music that connects with people. And that's one thing I've learned, and that's one thing we talked about on Sojourner. The record we have on Eve is, you know, not going against the current, just going with the flow and learning how to float with things, you know. And so, you know, that's one thing that I've learned just in watching his career and talking to him. When we did that record, we probably sat in the studio and talked 3 hours before we even listened to a drum hat, a hi-hat, or anything. So, you know, yeah, that's what I've learned from him.
So you were talking about how Queen Latifah was telling you stories about Tupac, and, you know, the thing in life and in music is that there are going to be some great people you work with, and then some people are gone too soon. And, you know, early in your career, you worked with Mac Miller, and you spent some time on the road with him, and just seemed like somebody that was super talented and had a lot more to give, but unfortunately didn't see that. So what sticks out to you about that time in your life with him?
Man, those were some of the funnest times. That was, you know, me trying to figure it out and learn things, and to have him a part of that journey was special because he taught me to never take yourself too serious and to just have fun with the music. Like, anytime you saw Mac, it was always about having fun and, you know, loving on each other and supporting each other. Like, to do what he did, not only for me, but so many artists. There are a lot of new artists that can tell you, like, Mac Miller was a big part of jump-starting my career, or putting me on, whether he put me on my first tour or he did a verse for me. It was my first feature. Like, when I worked with him, he was getting millions of views. Nobody knew me from Adam or Eve, you know, no pun intended. You know, and just called me up one day, not only gave me a verse, but like, Rap, I just want to take you on tour. I think you dope. Just because he thought I was dope.
That's awesome.
So it taught me to never get ahead of yourself and never get caught up in celebrity, and just appreciate people for being dope. And again, like, have fun more than anything, and never take yourself too serious. So, you know, I miss that. You know, I miss him being around for that energy, but he was a light, man, and just super talented and a big heart, loving individual. So, you know, that part of him I want to continue and to give to people in the same way he gave to me.
And another guy we're missing is Nipsey Hussle. He would have been 34 today. So when you think about his story, the way that he gave back to his community, what did you like the most about his stuff?
Man, again, Nipsey was humble. I love that, you know, he not only took his art to entertain, but to teach. You know, whether it would be about financial literacy or ownership. And again, what his brand meant, the marathon. And me and him have the same way. Like, we took the marathon route, where we slow built our fan base and we slow built our brand, and, you know, we didn't compromise our art because we wanted to build legacies. You know, I wanted to be an inspiration. I'm sure he did too, but I saw even further. He wanted to be a businessman and give back to his community in the way he did. So, you know, it just taught me, or not taught me. Yeah, he taught me, and he reminded me, and he inspired me to do more. You know, for our people, and to own things, and, you know, to own your art.
Totally,
you know,
that's
and
huge.
to learn as much about the business as I can. But, you know, yeah, that's another one that we're gonna miss.
So you mentioned legacy. I mean, you're still building this thing out, but what do you want your legacy to be?
Man, people ask me that, and it's so hard to say. But I think at the core of it, I just want to be an inspiration. Like, I want to be one to inspire the next person to know that, you know, you don't have to compromise your art, that you can be one of the dopest MCs and be a female. You know, just focus on the art, you know, and to continue to push the culture forward, to say that, you know, Rapsody is one of the most lyrical MCs to ever live, male or female. Like, we're a time where in a male-dominated industry, mainstream-wise, is hip-hop, a lot of people are scared to say that. You know, even though we've had so many dope ones like Lauren and Queen, you know, people put out lists, as we saw recently. It's like, where are the females at? You know, so I want to be one of the ones, like so many that came before me, you know, that made that a false narrative. You know, I want to be with the MC Lights and the Lauryn Hills and the Queen Latifahs, Missy Elliott's, Jean Grey's, to say that, yo, like, women are hard, don't come for us. Like, you know, this ain't like basketball where we're physically built different. Like, this is about art, and it's all up here.
So. We're on the same level here, same playing field.
Exactly. So that, you know, that's what I want my legacy to be, just inspiration.
That's awesome. And I've heard the album. You are one of the dopest MCs out there. I can confirm that for everybody.
Hey, thank you. I got your seal of approval. I'm
Rapsody,
winning.
absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
August 23rd, check out Eve. You're going to enjoy it. That's Rapsody. I'm DJ. We'll see you next time here on The Sit Down.